Hello, I'm Benjamin Sullivan, and welcome to another episode of my vlog, Ben Vest Up. I know it's been a long time since I've made an episode of Ben Vest Up. Hey, I'm still working full-time during the day, and life gets in the way, but at least I found some time to make a new episode, so here I am. So first, let me start by saying that I just recently went on a Carnival cruise, and I had a blast. I took a nice vacation on board the Carnival Firenze, and I just got home last week. I brought my camera on the cruise with me, and I was able to make a nice video tour of the ship, which I'm currently editing and I plan on uploading in the near future, so watch out for that one. Now, even though I haven't made an episode of my vlog in a while, I still have uploaded a few videos to my channel over the past few months, including a video where I celebrated the 15-year anniversary of my famous King of the Hill video. I uploaded a few videos that I found on some old VHS tapes, which I added to my collection of my playlist that I call VHS Finds. And I also, a couple months ago, made an episode of my series called Ben's Tech Support, and in that particular episode, I upgraded both the hard drive and the operating system on my gaming laptop. Now, if you were to look at my laptop now, you might notice that it looks totally different. And the reason it does look different is because it is different. It's not the same laptop that you've seen in my previous videos, and I'll explain why. So I mentioned that in the last episode I made of Ben's Tech Support, I upgraded both the solid-state hard drive and the operating system on my Asus gaming laptop. So basically I did two upgrades at once because my Asus gaming laptop had a 1 terabyte solid-state hard drive that had Windows 10 on it. So what I did is I backed up all my data to an external hard drive, then I removed the 1 terabyte solid state, replaced it with a 2 terabyte solid state, and then installed a fresh copy of Windows 11. So not only did I double the storage, but I also upgraded to a newer version of Windows, and both upgrades were a complete success. Then at the end of the video, I mentioned that because I was doing a hard drive upgrade, I had to back up all my data to the external hard drive before I began, which I did, and then at the very end of the video, I mentioned that now that both upgrades were a success, the next step is going to be to transfer all the data that I backed up to the external hard drive back onto the laptop. However, I never actually did that, and I'll explain why. Even though the upgrades were a success, I decided it was time to move on and get a new laptop. So I ended up selling my Asus gaming laptop and I bought this replacement. If you're wondering why I decided to sell that Asus gaming laptop, I'll explain why, and there's a few reasons. And it's not because I wasn't happy with it. In fact, that Asus gaming laptop was a good laptop and I definitely got my use out of it, but I had it for several years, and the thing is, it did not have a full-size keyboard, which means it did not have the little number pad on the side, and it also did not have a built-in webcam, so that meant anytime I had to do a video call, I had to attach an external USB webcam, which is not a big deal, but it was a little bit of an inconvenience. But I decided after having that laptop for over 3 years, it was time to upgrade. So I sold it and I bought this brand new Thunder Robot gaming laptop, and so far I'm really liking it. Well, now that you see my new gaming laptop, allow me to go ahead and give you a quick video tour of my home office so I can show you my entire collection of computers that I currently have. Then, at the very end of this episode, I'll go over some future projects that I have planned. Okay, so here's my home office. Let me go ahead and show you my computer collection. We'll start right over here. This is my computer that I call Blue. Now, you may have seen Blue in some of my other videos. I had one video from many years ago where I was playing Duke Nukem Forever on it. In fact, yeah, this was the computer that I first played Duke Nukem Forever on back in 2011 when it was first released. So yeah, I've had this computer for almost 15 years now. So 15 years old and still hanging in there, still working. Now, because this is an old computer, it's had many upgrades over the years. In fact, just recently, about a year or so ago, I made an episode of Ben's Tech Support where I replaced the case on this computer. I basically completely took it apart out of the old case and rebuilt it in a new case. And so, over the years, it's had many upgrades, including video card, power supply, memory. I'm pretty sure the only original components are the motherboard and the CPU. But yeah, so this blue computer, is still working well even after 15 years. Now, this is the oldest computer that I use regularly, but not the oldest computer I own. I have one that's a little bit older than this one, which I'll show you in just a little bit. Now we come over here. This is my main computer, the one that I use the most. This is the one that I call Beast. Now, you may have seen Beast in several of my other tech support videos. And so Beast is the most powerful computer that I own. This is my high-end gaming desktop. It's also where I do all my video editing. Now, the only major things it's had, the only major upgrades it's had recently is I upgraded the hard drive from a 2 terabyte solid state to a 4 terabyte solid state, but I decided not to make an episode of Ben's Tech Support out of it because I've already done several other videos that were hard drive upgrades, so I feel like it would have been a little too repetitive. And then I recently got new speakers. As you can see, I still have an RGB mechanical keyboard and an RGB mouse. The old speakers were RGB speakers, but they stopped working, so I had to get a new set of speakers. Now, I was going to get another set of RGB speakers to go with the theme, but I got a good deal on these ones, and these ones are not RGB, they're just red. However, they're actually better speakers overall. They have higher quality sound, so I'm happy with these. Now let's go ahead and move my chair out of the way. And right here, this is my new laptop that I recently bought that replaced my old Asus. And as you can see, this one has a built-in webcam, and it also has the full keyboard that has the keypad on the side. And it also came with Windows 11 and a 2 terabyte SSD. And another reason that I wanted to upgrade is because the old laptop had 32 gigs of RAM, which is still pretty good, but I wanted 64, and that laptop only supported up to 32, so it was maxed out. I could not upgrade, but this one supports up to 64, and that's what it has. So far, I'm loving this one. So those are my 3 main computers that I use, but let me go ahead and show you what I have down here. I mentioned earlier that blue is the oldest computer that I use regularly, but not the oldest one I own. This is the oldest one I own down here. This is actually a gaming desktop from the Windows XP era. So I want to say this one is from about 2004 or 2005. So yeah, it's at least 20 years old. So yeah, this is the oldest computer that I own, and it still has Windows XP on it, but I don't use it regularly. I haven't hooked it up in a while, but that's probably going to be one of my projects in the near future, is, since it's Windows XP, see if I can rebuild it and use it specifically as a retro gaming machine. So that's that. Let's go ahead and move over here. Well, if I turn to the right, you'll see that I have the kitchen table over here, but I sometimes use this as a workspace area. In some of my videos, you may notice that once in a while, I'll put a mat down here whenever I need to bring computers over here, whenever I need to do upgrades. Then if we go around this way, you can see there's my bookshelf with my collection, including my DeLorean time machine model, all of my books, and even some copies of old games. Now, if you look over here, you'll see I have my TV, and I don't have cable TV, but I do have a Roku that's connected to this TV. And now let me show you what another future project is going to be. If you look, you can see that I have my couch and a coffee table with a wireless keyboard and mouse on the coffee table. That's because in the near future, what I plan on doing is building another desktop computer that I'm going to put right down there that'll be hooked up to the TV. That way I can sit on the couch and I can actually use the TV as a computer. And let me show you, it's pretty much ready to go. There's the wireless keyboard and mouse. And right down there you can see I have a power cable, an HDMI cable, and an Ethernet cable all ready to go. Now, for those of you who have been watching my videos for a while, you may remember that several years ago, when I lived in a different place, I actually did have my blue computer connected to the TV. So I've done that in the past, but I haven't done that in a while, but that's next on my list. So let's go ahead and go back over here and continue with the video. Well, you've seen my home office, you've seen my collection of computers, and you already know what 2 of my projects in the near future are going to be. One of them is going to be building a desktop computer to connect to my TV, just like how I used to have Blue connected to my TV. And another one of my projects is going to be hooking up my old XP machine and getting it rebuilt so I can make a retro gaming machine out of it. Although there's probably not much that needs to be rebuilt. It's probably already in working condition and has what it needs. It probably just needs a little bit of tuning up. But anyway, I want to go ahead and get that set up and get a fully functional retro gaming machine out of my XP machine. But I have another project I'm going to tell you about. In the past, I've mentioned that on this channel, I want to make a series called Ben's LAN Party that's all about LAN gaming, and I never actually got around to it, but I think I'm getting close. But I decided to expand a little bit. Instead of being called Ben's LAN Party, I'm going to call it Ben's LAN Party and Retro Gaming. That way, it's not going to be limited to just LAN games, it'll also cover retro games as well. So probably the first episode of Ben's LAN Party and Retro Gaming is going to be hooking up my old XP machine and see if I can get some retro games running. And I want to show you what I still have. I still have an original Game Boy and a Sega Dreamcast, and I used to have a GameCube, which I probably still have in my closet somewhere. So I want to see if I can get these hooked up and see if they're still in working condition, and maybe make some videos of me playing these games. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode of Ben Vest Up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and click on that subscribe button. There's going to be new episodes of Ben Vest Up, Ben's Tech Support, and Ben's LAN Party and Retro Gaming in the near future. Thank you very much. Have a great day, YouTubers.